Lagoon is a coaster oasis in a vast desert of nothing, located just north of Salt Lake City. This park has 11 coasters of all ages and sizes, making it one of the biggest parks in America. It may cost you $100 to get in, but once you're inside, that ride lineup makes it worth it. However, that isn't to say these coasters couldn't be better. So let's put on our coaster enthusiast hats, let's get critical, and let's spend some of Lagoon's money. This is one way to improve every coaster at Lagoon. I've been here 3 times, 2017, 2019, and 2024, so I've gotten quite a few rides on most coasters, so I feel I have a good sense of them. Some coasters have easy fixes, some are more challenging, and some are downright ridiculous. So I'm giving each one a possibility grade. We'll go from easy, it can be done today with no effort, to medium, would take some effort and money, to hard, would take a pretty significant effort, to fantasy, things that are just not realistic. Let's enter the park and hang a right, and go all the way down to the far south end of the park, and the first coaster you run into is Colossus the Fire Dragon, a Schwarzkopf looper that started on the German fair circuit. Very portable, but has been here for 42 years. This has just about everything you could want in a basic Schwarzkopf looper. Intensity, lower the ground elements, open terrains with just a lap bar, but I have 2 issues. First, I don't like the station. It's very narrow and you get filtered in. Pretty much, you get to take whatever row is left over, kinda like Jackrabbit at Kennywood. Kinda like Rushabana at Tivoli Gardens, and that's super annoying if you really want the front or back. So I wish the station was more open and you can walk up and pick the row you want. That would be a hard change. Impossible on the side it loads on because the track that passes right by. But if they loaded on the other side, they could do it. For the purposes of this video, let's pick something else. As is the case with portable coasters, it's slapped on a barren flat plot of land. This coaster has 2 big helices. They could put some kind of theming here, either a dragon sculpture, maybe some tunnels, mist, anything to make this seem like less of a carnival coaster. This would be a medium change. It costs some money, but wouldn't require any major structural changes. Right next door, we have the Maurer Wild Mouse, called Wild Mouse. I've ridden this once every time I've been there, and for some reason, that second ride back in 2019 was really great. I came back in 2024 expecting the same and didn't really get it. So, what was the difference? I can't prove this, and I don't know if it's even right, but it seems like it was barely trimming in 2019, and it was running a lot slower in 2024. So, just lay off those trims, and you got one of the better Wild Mouse coasters I've ever ridden. And, lucky for us, this is an easy change. Maybe it's hard on the maintenance staff, all that extra stress in the track and on those cars, but that's not my problem, at least not for this video. Sitting in the parking lot was the park's star coaster for 8 years, the one and only zero tower coaster ever built, Wicked. This came to the park in 2007, and that vertical top hat stands out. One of my favorite elements ever, but this coaster is not a one-trick pony. That vertical drop is great, so is that 0G roll, but then it hits the mid-course and the ride just dies. Usually, I just say, lay off the mid-course brakes, but in this case, that wouldn't help. That second half needs a whole new layout, enough for those little horseshoe turns, that windy track. They could have thrown in a steeper drop off the brake run, another inversion, maybe a sharp airtime hill. I'm not even saying load up the second half with great elements. Just give us 1, maybe 2. Make it worth our time. Right now, it's the very definition of filler track. This is a fantasy. No way they redesigned the second half. But this is by far the ride's biggest problem. Some people hate the restraints, but I've never had a problem with them. Heading back towards the middle of the park, we have Spider, the Maurer spinning coaster. This is a clone, a basic compact layout, but Spider has a reputation of being one of the best spinning coasters in the country, and it deserves that honor. This is even better if you have an off-balance car, so it's set up to have 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and depending on your group, you'll probably end up with a balanced car. Last time I went, we were a group of 3, so we had 1 NPC and it was amazing. The spinning was out of control. So here's my insane idea to make it better. Get new cars that seat 4 on one side and 2 on the other. This would increase capacity, which would be great also. This line kinda gets nasty with only 4 people per car, but it would guarantee an off-balance ride every time. Normally, I'd call this hard, but I think this one has to go in the realm of fantasy. Not only do these cars not exist, this may cause a major problem with clearance. This was not designed for cars with 4 across seating. So I guess for now, stick to trying to get to 3 people in your car, and make sure you don't have lunch before hopping on. Next up, we come across one of the oldest coasters in the world, the wooden roller coaster called Roller Coaster. It's hard to complain about this one. 104 years old and still running like a charm. It even got new Millennium Flyer trains in 2018, and those are awesome. Aside from buzz bar trains, this is as good as it gets when it comes to a wooden coaster. It doesn't run that rough. It's not super smooth, but at 104 years old, if it was, that'd be kinda weird. It has good pops of airtime, a nice, long double out and back layout, so there's not much you can do to make it better. I'm reaching a bit here, but I say the park should speed up the lift hill. That'll make the airtime hills pop better, make those drawn out turnarounds less boring. So all around, it would just make the ride better. I'm going to call this easy. I know in Roller Coaster Tycoon, you can just dial up that chain speed, but I don't know if it's that easy in real life. Maybe they would need a different motor to make this happen. Maybe it would cause maintenance issues. But again, not my problem for this video. If they can turn a knob and crank up that chain lift, they should. We take a turn east and go deeper into the park and find Puff the Little Fire Dragon, the only coaster that's truly for small kids. It's always hard to improve a kid's coaster, this being a very basic Zero Tivoli model, already having a nice dragon-themed train and rockwork in the middle. But I think it would add something to the ride to put a Puff statue that breathes fire at the train. Not too close, obviously. We don't want little kids coming off the ride without eyebrows, but something coming down that first drop, or something on that final turnaround. If not fire, maybe a fog effect. Maybe dress up that station to theme it better. Just little aesthetic things to improve the ride experience. This would be a medium change. It may cost a lot more money than the park wants to spend on their kiddie coaster, but I'm in the business of making it better and I don't know what else can be done. Continuing our walk north, we find Bombora, the first ever coaster from Art Engineering, and a family-friendly twisted mess of track. This resembles a Vekoma Junior coaster, just bigger and longer, not to mention very comfortable seating, plus on-ride audio. This has a surfing theme, but doesn't capitalize on that during the ride. As long as the ride is, I think they could add a second lift hill and give it a nice indoor section. Fill the building with fake waves. Make it seem like the coaster train is actually surfing those waves. That would elevate this to one of the best family coasters in the country, but this is a fantasy. They'd have a hard time finding space for this, unless they wanted to cram it just to the east of the coaster. And it would be expensive, and there's no great demand for it, so it's not gonna happen. Next door, we have the park's last family coaster, the Vekoma Hang and Bang known as the Bat. These flooded into a bunch of parks in the first half of the 2000s, and they just did not have a good design. Some parks have replaced the trains, or at least altered the restraints, getting those ear pads away from your ears, so when you hit every bad transition, your head isn't pinballing around. Bat has no such alteration, and I think it's high time that happens. Lagoon should replace those trains and give it trains with just lap bars, the kind that Steel Lasso has at Frontier City, or the kind they're putting on all their new age family suspended coasters. I say, this is a medium change. It's hard to believe they couldn't just buy a new train from Vekoma and have it be compatible with this track. This is one of the main reasons it's the worst coaster in the park. It's just unpleasant and it hurts. As we continue to trek north, we find Jetstar 2, the Schwarzkopf coaster from 1976, a portable coaster celebrating its 50th season at the park. This is a very tight layout, low to the ground turns, super intense, very janky, but for a 50-year-old portable coaster, what do you expect? Maintenance has to go around and hammer the footers back into place. You're not going to get a glassy smooth ride. The fix here is easy to identify. Do something about those trains. This fits 6 adults, and I think you can fit more if you have kids, and you can't ride alone. This ride relies on wedging people into the seats to keep you in. So 100% of the time, you're going to be sitting in someone's lap, or someone's going to be sitting in yours. Sometimes this isn't a problem, depends who you're riding with, but most of the time you don't want to be this close to someone, especially if you end up riding with someone you don't even know. If they could get a normal train, maybe with 6 individual seats, not 3 sections where 2 or 3 people can sit, that would be amazing, and this would be a medium change. I don't think Schwarzkopf is going to help them. They're not in business anymore, but they can get another company to build something, or they can alter the existing trains to make them less invasive. In the far northwest corner of the park, we have the one coaster that's hard to miss, the massive Art Engineering Mega Coaster, the coaster that truly put Lagoon on the coaster destination map, Cannibal. This has one of the best first drops ever, some crazy inversions, a helix finale that goes into a cave, and yes, it just has lap bars. What could you possibly do to make this ride better? Last time I rode it, it ran a little rough, but nothing to complain about. This coaster also has very strict assigned seating. That allows it to have a very useful single rider line, but still, it would be nice to pick your row. Even though there's only 3, it makes a difference. If I had to choose one thing to change, I would get rid of the brakes in the first drop. These aren't very strong, but they do serve to ease the train to that 116-degree drop, rather than fly over it at full speed. It's not a big deal, it's not like it breaks you once you get going, but it would make the ride a little bit better. This is an easy change, just turn them off and let it fly. Finally, way outside the park, we have the park's newest coaster, Primordial, another Art Engineering coaster, and this one being part throw ride, part shooting dark ride. This was a massive project. It took years to finish, but the park was going for a high-end standout ride and they got one. In a park with so many portable coasters, here's Primordial, built into and around a fake mountain, having a shooting game in the middle, a randomized surprise ending. Honestly, this ride seems so out of place in the best way. I got one ride on this back in 2024, and there's one thing that really bothered me. Those guns seem to have zero mobility. It was so hard to play the game when you can barely lift your gun out of its holster and aim at the screen. It could have just been the seat I was sitting in. Maybe it's not a systemic problem with the ride itself, but having just ridden it once, I'm really not sure. So, a medium change to make the guns more mobile, and you can enjoy the game as much as you enjoy the ride. Just to recap, we have 11 coasters, and 3 of them had easy changes. This all has to do with turning off brakes. 5 more had medium changes. I consider these reasonable investments like getting new trains or adding theming, and 3 more are 100% fantasy. That's extending or reprofiling layouts or adding new cars that don't exist, and probably wouldn't fit on the coaster anyway. That's all I have for Lagoon. Let me know what you think of my fixes, and if you have any other idea for any of these coasters, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. If you want to see more episodes in this series, I have a playlist, that link's down below. I want to thank my Patreons. If you want bonus access, bonus content, and have your name listed at the end of each video, check my links below and join. Also, check out my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.